All right. Now we have November 15th, 2018. Edgeville Furnace is now free to play.
E.
Yeah.
Um, Reason for this is it doesn't change a whole lot for like myself as a free to play regular. Um, However, it's just weird to make something that's members free to play, but at the same point, it's always been in a free to play location. So like it's kind of odd that it wouldn't have been accessible by us, but I just don't like it. And I feel like newbie me would have like 100% smelted stuff in Alcarid, and I can remember some fun and enjoyable times doing that back like years and years, like long before old school RuneScape. Um, so yeah, it kind of just it's just a update for the sake of it. I don't like it.
Yeah, this one's gonna be probably like a D for me because it was kind of weird that it was in a free to play area but not accessible to free to play. But Edgeville Furnace didn't even used to exist. It was added with achievement diaries, so I still think it'd be better if it just still didn't exist.
Oh yeah,
And
this
uh,
achievement diary.
yeah, and also like it was originally I think intended to only be able to be used by people who had done the achievement diary or something. So I don't know, just kind of weird. And the impact is really just that free to play banker irons have like a more easy furnace, easier AFK.
Yeah, I'm also putting it at E. Uh, yeah, they're just making stuff free to play for the sake of making it free to play. Sometimes, yeah, it didn't affect a ton, but I don't know. I guess it's not the worst thing in the world, so E. Uh, all right, next we have November 29th, 2018. Spellbook filters.
I'm
E.
putting this at a B. I like being able to move my like high elk and stuff to the left side of my like kind of inventory or spell book, but I also hate I hated it on release because I did not know that you could right click and disable the spell filtering. So like all of the spells were shifted up, and it kind of like ruined where items were under certain spells. And I did not know for the longest time that you could disable it. So um that was just my own dumb fault. But yeah, I do like being able to move high elk and things like that from where they are. But other things like for teleports, I don't filter it down to just my teleports. I like where my teleports are on just the normal default. So yeah, not horrible, not game breaking.
Yeah, it's a D for me. I just don't really like interface changes, and I I don't know, just why bother? It's not that hard to click on spells.
Um, I don't like this update at all. I'm gonna put it in F. Uh, I like the classic way it's laid out. It's totally ridiculous looking and not organized. I think that's fine though. It's just kind of like a huge. I guess it is organized in the sense that it's like, uh, the value of each level 1, level 3, level 5 in that order. But I don't know. It just looks very chaotic and very old school. So I don't. I know you can disable it, but I just I don't know. When you do enable it, it does not look like an old school thing. It looks like something else. So I don't like that. Um, so yeah, F. December 6th, 2018. The collection log has been added. Some free to play worlds taken out. PvP safe zone changes. When entering a safe zone in PvP, I guess we can classify these as 3 different things. When entering a safe zone in PvP worlds while in combat with another player, you and your opponent will now be able to continue fighting for an extra 6 seconds while in the safe zone.
Okay. I'll go first. The collection log itself gets an S. I'll talk more about this at a later point. But I think the idea of the collection log is great. It would be a lot better if there was a free-to-play only filter on the collection log. I think that'd be really neat. Any plugin makers listening or something, maybe something that would be cool to add. I guess I'll just answer all 3 of these real quick. Free-to-play worlds taken out, F.
S tier. No.
It's not like the worst thing, so I'm not giving it an F minus, but yeah, just an F. Like it wasn't taking a huge chunk, just says some. And then PvP safe zone changes. I don't really PK, so like I can't really have too much of a say on this, but I don't think, like just from my own peace of mind on this, I think that like it's kind of just stupid that imagine you're hitting somebody 1 tile away from a safe zone, they step in the safe zone, you can't attack them anymore. I think that's just ridiculous. So I got to give this like at least a B.
I would say collection log is a B for me, because I think it added a new sort of way to approach the game, but it also kind of just made the entire game feel like a chore. Like it feels like you have to do stuff to its conclusion for the sake of the collection log. Like before the collection log, most people probably wouldn't bother doing the baguette random events because like, who cares? But now people feel like they have to do it. Free-to-play worlds taken out, F tier. We want worlds. And PvP safe zone, nothing for me. I don't care at all, and I've never been affected by this change.
So where would you put it?
Nowhere.
How about like a C or D or something?
Sure, C.
Okay. Collection log for me is S, absolutely. I would say to those who feel like it's a chore, that's your problem. You don't have
problem.
to. I really appreciate more content of things to complete if you feel like completing them. I mean, I guess if you're like your goal.
Also, ours is just completable back at this point.
Yeah, right. We'll get it. We'll get to that. Don't get ahead of ourselves. I just really like the collection log. It adds another thing to do, and for people who like are trying to complete the collection log in its entirety, obviously it's not possible. But I think like I don't know, I get the argument that, you know, if you're trying to complete all of the collection log and you just want to do bosses mostly and just some clues or something, you don't want to have to grind. I mean, it's not really a grind to get a stale baguette, but it's just super annoying that you have to wait on that, and I can understand, but I'd still give it an S. What were the other things? F2 World's taken out, F, obviously. And PvP safe zones, I'll give it a B, I guess. Yeah, that's fine. Alright, January 24th, 2019. PvP boxing mechanic change. Deadman mode, anti-boxing mechanics moved into the live game. Wilderness and PvP worlds. Players can now attack other players who have been splashing for a certain amount of time.
Alright, so I'll go first on this to give some context to AutumnElegy on this as well, just in case he's not aware of what this completely did for free-to-play. What this meant was, in the wilderness, with your kicking alt, you could no longer be attacked by other players during this change.
Ever.
You could not get ragged at all. This was an S tier update.
Agreed.
It was hilarious. Hilarious when PKers would come by and not be able to attack you because you're already in combat. Even though you're not even fighting your other account at all, you're not dealing any damage, you were still technically in combat. And they couldn't attack your alt or your main, which obviously did change after a little bit, but they could attack either of your accounts to get you off of yourself. But yeah, at this point it was probably a couple months that it was like this, and it was great.
I think it was longer than that, honestly. Like a year.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this update made it so that you can't get attacked anymore?
If you're in
Can't
combat,
get
yeah.
attacked by other players while you're already in combat.
Huh. But the
Getting
actual
free ticket
update notes
method.
say that players who have been splashing for a certain amount of time can get attacked by other
Right.
players.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's just wrong, or was it only applicable to Magic?
It was just
They weren't
splashing.
splashing against each other, right? If you splashed against another player, you'd technically be in combat, so you wouldn't have been able to get ragged during that. But if you were just splashing against a rat or something in a PvP world, eventually you'd be able to get attacked.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I don't know. This is weird. It seems like seems kind of broken that if you're just like in a splashing combat fight with someone and you're not even attacking back, like you should be able to be attacked. I can understand how it'd be nice, but I think the root of the problem is just that you had to be doing EHP methods in the wilderness anyways. So this one kind of seems like a D for me.
It's funny how this is labeled as anti-boxing, where it was actually the total opposite.
Yeah, I don't think
Yeah, it
River
seems
wrote
pro
that.
boxing.
Yeah.
It was pro boxing, I'm pretty sure, at this point for us. It was funny.
Yeah.
Like you at least you had to be in combat. Like you couldn't just have somebody attacking you and you not be technically fighting back. But because we had a bow with no arrows, we were in combat but not.
I think you're mistaken there. I think so. The reason why you are considered in combat, like versus splashing in this instance, is because your ult actually does damage to you occasionally. So you're actually, I think it's every, I can't remember, 5 minutes or something. If you dealt damage, then you'd be fine. So that's why splashing was mentioned here, is because like you're not doing any damage ever. So that's the difference in this case. As for me, obviously. I think the fact that we had to train mining in the wilderness, it made it so it was less annoying, honestly, because like you could just train the method you were trying to do, and you didn't have to engage in any PvP situations if you didn't need to, which is nice for us. Obviously, it's a very subjective opinion that Freck and I are giving, but it's fine.
Yeah, it was more just that it was super beneficial for us to
Yeah.
mine during this point. That's
Yeah.
why we're giving it such a high rank. But like overall, as a mechanic, it's stupid.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I shouldn't be safe in the wilderness.
Yep. Okay, February 7th, 2019. New free-to-play quest. X marks the spot.
F minus. This was a horrible quest. Horrible quest, and it made people do clues before clues.
I'm gonna give this one B.
Wow.
I think it was like a fine quest, and it was a good way to. It basically is like a clues tutorial, so I think it's like fine. Didn't really have any negative impact on the game, and it's a good instructionary tool for noobs.
I think I'm surprised Freck didn't bring it up, but this is actually came out before clues were released for free-to-play, which is kind of weird.
Yep.
Yeah, so I would give it F minus as well. I did not like the quest. It's just a clue scroll. And the whole point of it is to introduce people to like I don't know. It's also like a prerequisite for Zaya quests, so it's like also introducing you to Zaya, which is kind of weird. It's just like them trying to lure free to play players into pay to play by introducing them to this massive continent, which I don't understand why that would lure anybody, but
But they don't even have a cutscene to show the damn
right,
continent.
it
Like
doesn't.
they're not even doing a good job of
Yeah, it's
trying
not
to
a good
get people to
teaser
go to pay
either.
to play.
Yeah,
It's just like, here you've come to this guy that's at a boat, and yeah, he might be able to take you to an island if you were pay to play. But you don't know anything about it or what it looks
yeah,
like, so why would you care?
really stupid.
All right, I'm changing my answer to uh, E tier actually because this was also the update that added the pub to Lumbridge, which I hate because it
Oh,
doesn't.
that's true.
I
Yeah,
don't like any changes to like the map of like classic areas,
yeah,
especially
Lumbridge,
places like
really.
Lumbridge. Yeah, I
What
know.
is what
I
is
didn't
that pub called? Does anybody know the
It's
name
like
of that pub? I always
sh-
love the pub names. I'm not gonna
Sheared
lie, but
Ram. The Sheared
that's
Ram pub.
that's a shitty one.
um, were you D before or B? I can't remember what you said.
I was B.
You're
He
B.
was
Okay.
B before.
All right. Okay. Okay. Moving on. Ring of Forging is now free to play. February 22nd, 2019.
F
I will
minus.
I will give great context to this as well after, but go ahead.
Yeah, this is just. I hate the just like pay to play recycled content. Uh, and this was just pure easy scape for Iron Man. Doesn't increase EHP rates, but it just offers like a really easy alternative to like collecting enough runes to telegrab or just taking the L and doing 50-50 iron.
Yeah. Um, this is F minus as well for me. Gonna go a little bit more into this. This is 100% just a free to play Iron Man update. I don't hate you guys, I swear, but just ridiculous of an update. I don't understand why we're only getting one of those rings, as well. Now, people can argue this while we talk about it if we want to, but I do not understand why we couldn't have rings of recoil with it, dueling rings, and rings of life. Obviously, the rings of life would need to be balanced out of pay to play in the wilderness. They just don't work. Simple. But ring of dueling would not break really anything for free to play. If you have an issue with the idea of an accessible bank, anything that you're going to do on an Ironman for an accessible bank, you're probably just going to use a mini game teleport to those locations anyway. And then in for regulars, you might decide to do Castle Wars as a bank for rune crafting instead of the PvP world, but the PvP world's chest is closer. And the whole concept that we already talked about on the idea that having a bank stupidly close, just forcing you onto a PvP world, is not a good kind of concept for why it should be there. If you could add dueling rings and remove the banks from PvP worlds completely, and it would. I don't find it as a negative scenario. You're not banking very extremely often outside of rune crafting in free to play at all.
Yeah, I agree that I really hate the inconsistency of this. Like, you get Rings of Forging by not enchanting them yourself, even though the spell to enchant them is free to play, and they just added the one ring instead of all four. I don't want any of the enchanted rings to be free to play, including Ring of Forging. But
Because we have one, we might as well get them all.
yeah, I honestly kind of expect it to happen. Like, recoils are not really useful. Ring of Life maybe would have niche uses, but dual ring would be a pretty big change for Iron Man and might finally give us a really solid reason to have separate UIM rates because I don't think it would be really viable for UIMs.
Well, what do you even need emeralds for right now, right? Like it would actually give some use to
Yeah,
something,
and it would be a
right?
huge
You'd be
buff for
collecting them.
yeah, it would be a big buff for RC to teleport to the fire altar.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
it would be a buff, but it wouldn't be huge. I don't think. Like it's not giant. I can't imagine the XP rate would go from what 4K to 20 or something. So,
Yeah, you still have to collect the S, which is the part that takes the most time, but it's closer to the altar than Skull Scepter Telly, right?
Yeah.
I think it's comparable, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty similar, and you get less XP per essence. I guess the main difference is just that you wouldn't need to collect bone frags. Like, you could get emeralds pretty much 0 time. You, I have to look whether you'd actually get enough emeralds. That's the question.
Hmm, true.
But
Haven't thought
also,
about
I
it.
guess
Is there a shop that
banking.
you can buy any emeralds from?
Yeah, you can buy from both gem shops, but the restock time is 6 hours, so you wouldn't get very many from that.
Okay.
And I'm sure it would be even more heavily contested than it already is.
Hmm. I think I honestly, I've kind of lost track of what we're talking about. Honestly, we're talking about the
Ring
free
of
forge.
Forging.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
sorry for the
We're just
derailing.
yeah, we're just derailing this question because there's more to it than just Ring of Forging, I feel. I don't know.
Yeah, I think I'd also put it F minus because all they're doing is I'm sure like I don't know, free to play Iron Man complained or something, and this update is only for them. It seems like crazy to me that they would add this to free to play. Like I don't know why they would agree to this.
I don't know
um,
why just it too.
yeah,
It's so weird.
Yeah, it's the type of thing that's like such a slippery slope of like they could add so many things from pay to play to free to play. It's kind of interesting, 4 years later that they haven't added more stuff.
hmm yeah, I agree with. I don't know. At first, I was very uh, against having like Ring of Dueling being free to play, but at this point, like for the sake of consistency, I don't know. It just seems so like the fact that you have to like talk to an NPC. You can't even enchant it, which I don't understand that at all. I guess it's so that maybe they'd have to change all the rings. Is the idea if they like something to do with the way they coded it?
Yeah, I think it's probably just lazy programming.
Yeah,
It was probably just more spaghetti code to make a limitation on one ring than it
yeah.
was to just
Yeah.
put it in a
That's probably
shop
exactly
person.
why they have to. You have to talk to some NPC to get it enchanted, which is so stupid.
I
Uh,
just don't know why they didn't pull all rings with this at that point. Like, I don't know.
also, I missed. Did you say F minus or F or?
F minus.
Okay, what about you, AutumnElegy?
Yeah, F minus for
Okay,
me.
all right, all right. Moving on. April 11th, 2018. Beginner clues have been released.
Okay, I initially when we talked about this gave this a really bad rank because I do not like the idea of just like a pay to play entire concept coming to free to play. But then Pause convinced me that it could be quite enjoyable, and I can see where and why. Um, I have still yet to do any clues at all. Um, but I can definitely see myself in the future doing them. Um, and that's why I'm giving it a B.
All right.
Yeah, I would give this one probably a B as well. I'm sort of between B and C, but I think like the content itself was pretty well balanced and uh, makes sense to be in free to play. It's simple, low level content with bad rewards, but gives a little bit of something. And a lot of the free to play players seem to enjoy them a lot and do engage with the content a lot. And it didn't really affect anything like meta wise. Mainly, what I don't like about it is that the clues are just pretty boring and simple, and most of the rewards are really ugly and stupid. Um,
Bull slippers, man.
Mole Slippers, excellent content, and I kind of like the scimitar ornament kits, but like
Ugh.
pretty much everything else is I just think is so ugly, and I'm tired of like seeing players wearing the Jester cape. I hate that cape.
That cape is the worst in the game. That and the stupid wolf cape.
Yeah,
The
Wolf
cape is
cape.
probably worse than the Jester cape. It's like a wolf cloak.
Oh,
and all,
Whatever.
all of those like Fortnite looking outfits from Crack the Clue and stuff. I hate those.
Yeah.
True.
All right. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. My point has no real merit.
Okay. Fair enough. I put this in S tier before. I'm almost leaning A tier just because Freck said something just now. I like for some reason like just glossed over. Was that it is a pay to play concept? That is a good point. I think I'm still gonna put it in S tier though. I love beginner clues a lot. My argument for them is it's another thing you can do in theory after 200 mil all. You can compete on the clue high scores. You can even compete in members clue high scores for like overall clues, which is cool. Not even just beginner clues. I that's also a good point brought up was the rewards from them. I don't like the rewards very much. I don't like Mole Slippers. I don't like the ornament kits. I think they all look bad. I think all the boots look really bad. The only boots I like are leather boots and default boots. And then as for the actual content of completing clues, I enjoy so much. I think it's complex in a way that doesn't intend to be. It is like optimizations can be made like over and over again, and you can keep finding out better ways of completing clues and different steps, and I love that a lot. It's not like the content they release now where it's just overly complex, period, but it's like complex in a subtle way, I guess. I don't really know what I'm saying exactly, something like that, but I don't know. I like doing them, and I will probably do them if I ever get 200 mil all a lot. I think I'll probably just do clues for the rest of my life, honestly. One thing I don't like though is the Charlie clue. That one needs to be nerfed. Like that does not need to be like 50% of the clues you get from beginners. That's just absurd.